Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the J22 Report. I am your host, Johnnie Market. You all know that drill. Smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't. Just remember the disclaimers below. Nothing should be construed as financial investment advice. These are just my opinions, thoughts on the market. Let's get into today's stuff. As I said, I think the S&P will probably go to 7,000. But this year, speaking of the S&P, has been I haven't talked about this too much, but it's something I think. It's because I'm not buying in international markets yet. But if you look at the S&P year to date, this is about 16.59%. I think after the next real crash or correction or whatever, when the stock market tops, there's going to be a big opportunity in the emerging markets. And we're starting to see that here. If you look at it, top indexes, even though it's 16%, South Korea, that's up 70%, Spain, 56%, South Africa, 54%, Poland, 49%, that's doing well. Of course, Brazil's at 43, Mexico's at 41, Italy at 39. Uh, so remember, not investment advice. Just now, I do think the reason I'm also not buying is I think during the next crash, they're going to go down a lot more than the U.S. stocks. I think they will. So I could be wrong. It could be a safe haven, but I do think we're getting into a part of a cycle where capital flow will go out of the U.S. and into other markets. So, and I think we're starting to see that here. Anyway, get into the news first and then talk about. So layoff announcements top 1.1 million. This is the most since 2020 pandemic, Challenger says. So total planned layoffs 71,321 in November, a step down from the massive cuts in October, but this brings up the total to 1.17 million. Most cited reason was restructuring. If they're restructuring, that means the company's not doing well and they're siphoning things off. Closing, market, or economic, yeah, so. Challenger, Gray and Christmas, whatever. There you go. Look at this, Verizon, more than 13,000 jobs. Tech companies. Now, I don't buy this. I think they're laying off. I think they're laying off Americans and bringing H-1B ones in. I think that is one reason. And I also think just the tech companies aren't doing well. So, so if you look at it, not doing well. And I was actually thinking about this the other day, and I was just going there. I just saw this. The October jobs report will not be released. So they're not releasing it. And I still wonder, I was just driving. I was wondering, why did they shut down the government? And I always think about it. Now, granted, I never think it's the reason given, but I said on this channel, I think one of the reasons is economic cover up. I'm not saying it's the only reason, but I think it's one of the reasons. And I mean, I hear so much stuff. This isn't a topic of channel. I don't know anything about this, so don't take my word on anything. I heard they were shutting down the government so they didn't have to release Epstein. I heard many things like this is an easier way to cover up Epstein. What I don't know if that's a reason or not. I think there's many reasons. Of course, I heard about, healthcare subsidies. On one side, they want to keep these subsidies in place to prevent insurance going up, and then the other one, they want to stop. They won't let illegal aliens. I don't know what the truth is, but I do think one of the reasons is if you look at this now, this is confirmed the October jobs report not being released. And they say some data will be folded into November, which has been delayed to December 16th. I think that is I think that's one of the reasons. I think they were trying to prevent any type of was they I think they don't tell the truth a lot about the economy, more fiction than fact when they release those data points. But I think they couldn't fudge it and make it look okay or look good. They had to report a bad number, and no matter how much lipstick they put on the pig, it wasn't even red lipstick. It was like magenta purple with gray and think of orange, lipstick on the pig and all colored up and not even done rightly. I think it was so ugly that no matter what they did, they couldn't do anything. And so now they don't have to release the October jobs report. So there you go. Let's look at the economic data. One thing that really caught my eye was the ADP report. Let me see the ADP. There's a lot of things. ISM, PMI. Those are all AI data spending, in my opinion. Tomorrow they'll have personal spending, consumer, Michigan consumer, which is always horrible. Challengers. ADP employment, negative 32,000. Consensus was 10. These were not supposed to even be good numbers. And I think these are probably the real job numbers. If you ask me, negative 32,000, it probably was negative 100 or 200,000. And that's why they are not releasing the October jobs report. But as you can see, the private sector is doing poorly. Tax cuts. Well, the company's not making money. Tax cuts aren't going to do any good. So, interesting stuff. Bank of America says they're going to put money into crypto. Management clients may put money into crypto. Too little, too late. As I said, I think it's like the stock market. The gains have been made. Live target 10K. Start buying around there. So you can see that to me, this is like a top one when they're putting in management portfolios. A lot of Bitcoin bulls will say, no, it means more capital flowing into it. I think everyone that's flown into it is flown into it. So, there you go. So yeah, Bank of America. I found this was interesting. I'm not going to really, but gasoline prices, they dropped to $3 per gallon, lowest level since 2021. I view this as a buy signal for oil, contrarian indicator. A lot of companies, they'll soon slow down production, but a lot of exploration and everything will dry up. So I think this is getting too close to a bottom, if not. As I said, I'm buying oil. I think it will go up. Every commodity is going up. I think oil will eventually fall. Look at this. This just, I think, shows they said 14 classic lake retreats where crowds once packed the docks are but interest is slowly drifting away. Well, it's drifting away because they don't have money. Look at that beautiful view. Like I'd love to go I went to a lake house once and I thought the lake house was amazing. I would actually, I mean, I can see why someone would swim in a lake house over the beach because, like, if you go in the water in the lake, one, it's calm. If you're going in and you're swimming with your kids, you don't have to worry about rough waves or not. And the last thing is, you don't have to, I mean, generally speaking, you don't have to worry about, wild animal. You're in the ocean, you don't know what's in there. But look at this. I mean, here at Lake George, New York. This is here, I don't know much about Lake George, but looks pretty. Lake Placid, famous movie Lake Placid. I thought that was cool. They had this like giant gator. It was like prehistoric. It was a really cool movie. Lake Tahoe, which is very famous, beautiful scenery. Finger Lakes, New York, and this is where the sort of more affluent class would travel to. Finger Lakes, New York, to get away. Clear Lake, Iowa, right here. If you look at that, that looks pretty. You can go. I don't know how much you can go fishing. I went to a lake house and there was like barely any fish. Table Rock Lake, Missouri. Lake, I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's in New Hampshire. I'm sure it's beautiful. And then look at the Ozarks. The Ozarks, that's very famous. It's supposed to be beautiful. Lake Champlain, New York, Vermont, New York. I'm sure that's Devil's Lake, Wisconsin. Big Bear Lake, California. Washington Lake, I don't know how to pronounce that. I'm sorry. Lake Lore, North Carolina. And then Smith Mountain Lake, Virginia. Look at that view. How can you not want? Favorite for boating enthusiasts? Yeah, just imagine going right. So yeah, I think this is the economy. People can't afford these 1 week trips at the lake houses and the beaches and everything else. So they're starting to lose interest, not because they don't want to, but because they can't afford to. American consumers have had it with high car prices, as the Wall Street Journal. Doesn't seem like it, but dealers fretted over depleted inventories and losing. Uh, Increasingly stretched consumers are starting to draw a line what they'll pay for a new car. And absolutely. As car buyers are downsizing and holding out for deals. So now forecasts predicted muted or no growth for the year and more of the same for 2026. Well, they thought this was 2025 would be a banner year, but reality's hitting them. That's the thing. Car buyers continued to shrug off higher prices. Well, that's because they needed a car and they had a stable job. Now they can lose their job. They're gonna be very picky about their prices. Persistent inflation, tighter job market, has Americans rethinking their big ticket purchase. So look at this. Cars are sitting longer on dealer lots. Dealers are piling on extra discounts to make sales. Lower income consumers are defaulting on car loans. And Americans as a whole are spending less on overall vehicle purchases than they did last year. So there you go. I mean, I talked about this auto loan bubble. You're starting to see it. Americans are not buying cars. Here it is. Target cuts earnings guidance, warns about high prices, and predicts a weak holiday season. So if someone knows the state of consumer, it is Target. Cut its full year profit guidance. Tepid holiday season as consumers battle through affordability crises on food, healthcare, and housing. So there you go. And then before I get into CEO tells young people to stop buying Starbucks to afford homes. You can show how touched these people are. Starbucks is not going to make a dent in where you can afford a home or not. Whoever this is, stop buying Starbucks coffee. CEO of luxury international real estate company. Look at this. 63-year-old joined when his 23-year-old. Probably knew someone, probably knew all the people. Probably was a rich, spoiled kid and was easily never really had to struggle in a job or struggled for anything. Look at this. If you look at those who are taking Uber instead of the subway, well, the reason why people are taking Uber instead of the subway is because of crime. If you looked at the news, the National Guard, literally, National Guard was shot. Crime is bad. That's why people are taking an Uber. They don't want to get jumped. Or you look at the Ukrainian refugee. People don't want to get stabbed. But she lives in such a bubble, she doesn't understand why and thinks it's solely price. I love it. They're spending money on things that are not necessary. They're going out with friends 3 nights a week, spending money on alcohol and food. I mean, my family was like Gen X and Boomer. Like, they went out all the time. And then they're going to lecture young people about how going out's bad. Like, I've never seen such hypocrisy. Even when our country was functional in the 90s, people would order out and eat out at least 3 times a week. Uh, especially when you're working in the office. And it's not an 8 hour workday because you don't get paid during your lunch. So it's at least 8.5 hours. Then you incorporate an hour for travel. I'm sorry, you can't make food at home every night. No one can do that. So, and this also shows why the business class are idiots. I'm going to give you a one thing. Stop spending some money. Basically, it said, where is it? Stop buying Starbucks. Starbucks, why don't you defend your customers? Seriously, why doesn't Starbucks defend its customers? If I owned a business and people said stop buying from my store, I would clap back. I would say, unlike your products, we actually give a reasonable, good product. That's why people shop at my store. If people said, don't watch my report, I would clap back. And I'm going to give you an example. I'm going to stop sharing for a minute because I want to just make sure I found this. This is what Starbucks should be doing. Now, this person isn't in uh, business, they're in politics. But I will, and so here it is. So what happened was before I share, in 2009 or 10, I forget the year. Actually, no, I have it in front of me. In 2010, Barack Obama was lecturing about to people that they should not be spending their money in Vegas. They shouldn't be wasting their money in Vegas. Well, I'll show you what the Vegas mayor did. He told the president stop picking on Vegas and that he was not welcome in the city due to suggesting people not spend their money on Vegas. That's exactly what Starbucks should be doing. Say this woman, this and I mean I don't shop at Starbucks all. I have that app and I go there every birthday because I get a free drink. Every now and again I'll stop by Starbucks if I need a drink while on a long road trip or whatnot. But honestly, my in-laws when they come to Poland, they all go to Starbucks because like even though it's Starbucks in Poland, it's like an American thing. Um, anyway, that's what Starbucks should be doing. Say, they're not welcome here. We're not going to serve them. Uh, we're not going to serve that person. Stick up for your brand. Act like you have something of value to give the customers. And not only that, try a populist position. Say the reason they're coming to Starbucks, it's one of the few joys left in American culture right now. It's one of the few things people can enjoy. People like you have took away the joy of owning a home, but we're not going to take away the joy of Starbucks. This is what Starbucks, how they should be reacting. This has been all the time. Stick up for your customers. And if you're a business owner, do the same thing. Stick up for your customers. Don't let people talk badly about your business. So, anyway, just like Oscar Goodman, I don't know much about him. I don't even know what this guy's politics are. I have no idea who they are. And but that's how you respond. That's how you respond. Tell them they're not welcome. Starbucks owner said that person's not welcome, and we have a lot to offer, and stop picking on us. So anyway, I found this interesting. I'll send it back. Which countries hold the most gold reserves? So, so countries accumulating the most gold since 2019: China, India, there's Poland, Turkey, Singapore, Japan, Thailand, Hungary, Qatar, Iraq. I thought that was interesting. So, and then the U.S. has the most. How much is really in Fort Knox? We'll never know. So, anyway, in terms of big pictures, nothing's really true. I think the Fed will cut rates and start easing, and that will be a final. I think inflation's coming even higher. But you see rent prices dropping and other things. So, yeah, nothing's really changed macroly. I'll do a video again tomorrow. Just remember, nothing should be construed as financial investment advice. Just my opinions and thoughts on the market. I'll see you next video.